Hi everyone, this will be your video for an area of a sector. So here you can see on the left hand side of this image, it does include the area of a circle, and this is some old news for us. And in the past we've learned that the area of this whole entire circle is going to be pi r squared. So what we need to think about is we're not going to be finding the area of a whole circle, we're going to be finding the area of a part of that circle, almost like a piece of the pie. And that's called a sector for us. So this area right here, let me change that color. This area right in here, this is a sector. It's a piece of a circle. So we're going to have two different ways to find out the area of a sector. The one that I really want you to focus on is the one down here where we just use radians. So no matter how your information is given to you, if it's given to you in degrees or radians, you just want to make sure that your angle is measured in radians. And then we're going to be using this formula, the one that I just put the stars next to. All right, so here we go. We're going to be using the formula where it's our area of a sector. And that's going to equal 1/2 pi r squared theta. So when we're plugging this in, we can just make sure that if we are given degrees for our angle measure, that we do change them to radians. Okay, so that is important that this is always in radians. So make sure that we always say that theta is in radians. Okay, so we need to change it. So we had 124 degrees and we want to change that to radians. So remember, what you have is what goes in the denominator and what you want. So we want radians, that'll be in my numerator. When I multiply this through, I'll get a decimal, right? So you don't have to worry about the pi. We can leave pi as a variable looking type thing, but we don't really want a decimal. So you can plug in 124 divided by 180 into your calculator. Then if you're using a graphing calculator, you have the ability to change that to a fraction. So you do want to try to make sure you're using fractions because this would be a repeating decimal otherwise. So this fraction would be 31 over 45. We still have that pi, so you can either write that as 31 pi over 45 or 31 over 45 pi, it's the same thing. And then our units were radians. So we have our angle measure now. This is 31 pi over 45. We know that QR, which is the distance that they're telling us, QR is our radius. So we can say that R equals 16. And we're trying to find the area of the sector that is pretty much, you can see it over on the right hand side here, but I'll highlight it in. So we're trying to find this area of a sector that would be this big piece of the pie. All right, so we now have this in radians, we're good to go. So let's look, we're going to just write our formula over here. So it's going to be 1/2 pi r squared theta. And then when I'm plugging this in, I'm going to get 1/2 pi. My r is 16, so I'm going to have 16 squared. And then my theta is 31 pi over 45. So you can see here that you're not really going to have any sort of nice values here. You can combine this as best as you can. You can use a calculator. I don't suggest just typing all of this all in at once. But for the sake of time, I'm just going to fast forward to the answer. Use your own methods for algebraically evaluating here. All right, so after a little bit of arithmetic, you would get 870.2797836. We do get asked to round. You want to make sure that each problem, you notice how they want you to round. It's going to be a little bit different. This question is asking for the nearest hundredth. So we'll still have all of our whole numbers. So 870 hundredths are 2 decimal spots. You look at it, we can see that we have a 7. If you look at the number after it, it's a 9. We're going to round that 7 up to an 8. So we're going to have 870.28 is about the area of this sector.